Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer neuen Folge von Agatha Christie, The ABC Murders. Wir haben in der letzten Folge unseren Mann geschnappt und er hat auch die Morde gestanden, weiß aber nicht, warum er sie getan hat. Und jetzt reden wir, glaube ich, nochmal mit ihm. Aber bevor wir loslegen, lasst auf jeden Fall mal ein kleines Däumchen für mich nach oben da, kommentiert, abonniert und dann geht's los. So.
Let us leave Cust alone. He's at the end of his tether.
Okay, er ist am Ende mit den Nerven. Müssen wir rausgehen? Ja, müssen wir rausgehen.
And what conclusions have you drawn?
Plenty. It might help us to understand him a little better. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Was weiß man über Custs Gesundheit? Er hat eine Gedächtnisschwäche. Er hat Halsbeschwerden. Und er leidet an Bluthusten. Kirst ist mental und physisch schwach. Das ist nicht gerade das Profil eines Killers. Gibt es Indizien, die nicht mit Custs Schuld im Mordfall von Kirsten übereinstimmen? Hat er keinen Grund, sie wieder zu ermorden? Okay, das war jetzt das, was ich so gedacht habe. Okay. Man würde erwarten, dass das Hemd des Mörders an den Ärmeln und nicht an der Knopfleiste beschmutzt ist. Gibt es Indizien, die nicht mit Custs Schuld übereinstimmen? Es sah nicht so aus, als hätte er Poirot wiedererkannt. Und das. Man kann sich seiner Schuld noch nicht sicher sein. Kann man unwiderlegbar sagen, dass Cust schuldig ist? Er sagt, dass er die Briefe nicht geschrieben hat. Und er hatte keinen Grund, sie zu ermorden. Unschuldig. Haben wir jetzt doch nicht den Mörder
I
erwischt.
don't see any clearer than before. This is worse.
There is one point to highlight. C'est curieux. Cust admits that he killed, but he does not know why. What did Dr. Thompson say? Even if Cust killed while in an altered state, it still must have been his deepest desire. He must have had a motive.
Let's keep it simple. Never mind his motive. He confessed.
But you see, he can confess to anything and everything. He denied the murders and then confessed to them. He confirmed that he never typed the letters. Then, with great ease, I managed to get him say quite the opposite.
Come on, he behaved like a guilty man. He lied to his landlady.
Because deep down he believes himself guilty. From the papers, he noticed that he had always been at the scene of the crimes. He must think that he killed and then simply forgot what he had done.
How can you be so sure?
Let us look at his psychological profile. You will understand my point of view. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Okay. Ist Cust clever? Nicht auffällt. Aussage. Unbedeutend. Es ist doch nicht eher nachher, ne? Ist Cust selbstsicher? Ich kann es überhaupt nicht lesen, so klein wie das ist. Beeinflussbar. Okay. Ist er ein Verführer? Ohne Scham. Mag Cust Züge. Hier. Mag keine Züge. Ist Cast impulsiv? Ich kann das halt nicht lesen, was hier alles steht. Kalt. Okay, das passt. Großzügig. Er ist geizig. Also er kann es eigentlich nicht sein.
You see? Cust's character is quite the opposite of the murderer's.
But if he's a madman, can we really talk about his character?
You know very well that our murderer does not behave like a psychopath. Apart from the signature, there is no ritual repetition in the choice of victims.
Very well, you're right as always. So we have no confession, no culprit, no suspects, nothing. And all that after 2 months of inquiry? What should I do?
Have faith. Just give me 24 hours.
Okay. Ziel nach Hause fahren. Okay. Okay, wir schauen jetzt mal, dass wir nach Hause gehen. Hier ist unser Auto.
To Whitehaven, please.
Cust's arrest is a great success for you, Poirot. It's all clear now, except maybe 1 or 2 details.
Details. Ah, mon ami. The devil is in the detail, as we say.
Excuse me?
Patience, Hastings. Everything will be clear once our guests arrive. Best be prepared. Slip a revolver into your pocket before they do.
A revolver? But Poirot, what are you afraid of?
Trust me. It is important you carry a weapon for this meeting. I will lend you mine.
What about telling me what you have in mind?
Surtout pas. You wouldn't be able to play your role. Wait 1 moment, I will bring you my weapon.
Wo liegt unser Revolver denn? Scheint irgendwo am Schreibtisch, oder? Ah, nee. Da sitzt er einfach nur entspannt. Wo liegt seine Waffe? Hier drin?
The white ammunition are blank cartridges. The others are real bullets.
Die weißen sind Platzpatronen, das heißt die hier.
The revolver is loaded with real bullets. I still have time to choose blanks. The revolver is loaded with blanks. I still have time to choose real bullets.
Also, wir haben jetzt Platzpatronen geladen. Okay. Okay, wir geben ihm jetzt einfach mal die mit den Platzpatronen.
What about...
Surtout pas. Voila, I entrust you with my weapon. It has hardly been used, it is almost new.
Telefon.
Chief Inspector, is that you?
Yes. Sorry, but we haven't found anything.
Have you checked the typewriter?
And the packaging, the letter, and the ribbon reel. We've only found prints left by Cust and his landlady.
Well, never mind, I shall make do.
So, are you still going to hold your meeting?
Of course, Chief Inspector. I can hear my guest coming up the stairs.
Why have you brought us here, Mr. Poirot?
Since Cust's arrest, I thought it was all done and dusted. Miss Gray formally identified him, as well as Miss Barnard.
Yes, and the stockings he saw drove the same brand as the ones found at my aunt's.
This is all true. However, a case is not closed if some questions remain open. And one question is, why did the murderer send me his letters? Why did he challenge me, Hercule Poirot?
Perhaps he wanted to play with you, to taunt you.
Xenophobia? Maybe he didn't like you because you're foreign.
I may be wrong, but maybe by provoking you, he was looking for glory?
All these theories should be studied. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Warum hat sich der Mörder in der Adresse geirrt? Teil des Umschlags mit einer falschen Adresse. Die verspätete Zustellung des Briefes hat den Mörder gerettet. Poirots Adresse ist nicht sehr bekannt. Der Mörder hat Poirot herausgefordert, um einen Minderwertigkeitskomplex zu kompensieren. Der Mörder hat Poirot über den Ruhm herausgefordert. Den fehlerhafte Adresse hat zu einer verspäteten Zustellung geführt. Der Mörder hat aus Fremdenfeindlichkeit heraus, der Mörder hat Poirot immer von seinen Morden in Kenntnis gesetzt. Okay, also. Warum hat er sich geirrt? Hat den Mörder gerettet? Fehlerhafte Adresse. Irgendwas von denen hier. Ja. Er hat den Fehler vorsätzlich gemacht. Warum hat der Mörder seine Briefe an... hier. Ne? Er hat an Poirot geschrieben, weil seine Adresse nicht sehr bekannt ist.
Is everything clear now?
You might like to explain your reasoning again.
Of course. First of all, remember that the murderer made it a rule to always post his letter before the murder. He never digressed from that rule. However, in Churston, he encountered a problem. The village has only 500 inhabitants. With advance warning, it would be easy to arrest him. Therefore, the murderer delayed his letters deliberately with the wrong address. The plan wouldn't have worked if he'd sent it to Scotland Yard or the papers because everybody knows their addresses. The mistake would have been corrected and the letter would have been on time. That is why the murderer chose me as the recipient.
Because for his plan to succeed, it was necessary for at least one of the letters to have a wrong address and get lost. It was very cunning.
Absolument. It is a very subtle plan. It matches the profile we have drawn up of him perfectly. That of an intelligent, daring and calculating murderer.
But that's not how you describe Cust.
You are quite right, mademoiselle. Like you, I find it hard to believe that this dull character is the clever murderer we are looking for.
Do madmen... I mean, if he's mad, he might have two very different sides.
No doubt. But the murderer is not mad. All the specialists agree that he does not have the profile of the psychopath.
But if Cust is not guilty, how do you explain his presence at the scene of the crimes?
Mr. Clark, the answer to your question is in the medical records of your brother's patients. Documents which Cust most certainly did not have access to. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Was weiß man über Cust? Der Mörder hat es geschafft, auf Dr. Clarks Akten zuzugreifen und hat versucht, sie zu verbrennen, um seine Spuren zu verwischen. Wurde während des Krieges verletzt. Brust hatte zu baden. Ist beeinflussbar. Cust ist mental fragil und manipulierbar. Wie lässt sich Custs Anwesenheit an den Tatorten erklären? Okay, davon ist es scheinbar gar nichts. Wenn er Lust hatte zu baden. Echt nicht? Der Mörder hat Cust manipuliert, indem er ihn in die Städte der Opfer geschickt hat, um Spuren zu verwischen, aber er hat niemanden ermordet. Weiter konnte ich nicht lesen, es war ein bisschen schnell.
Dr. Clark's patient's records provided a very useful list of potential victims, sorted by alphabetical order. The killer definitely used it, explaining the fact that all the victims were former patients of the doctor. It is this fact that clears Cust once and for all, because he never had access to these records. So how did he happen to be at the scene of the crimes? Either the murderer sent him there, or Cust was following him closely. Cust's highly suggestible nature leads us to the second hypothesis. The murderer was manipulating him. He systematically sent Cust to the towns where he was going to strike, so that the suspicion would land on the poor man's shoulder.
That's evil. What sort of killer could have such a plan? And what would he gain from 3 completely different murders?
Indeed, it seems unlikely that the same murderer committed all the crimes. What should we take from that?
Sagen, dass ein einziger Mord für den Mörder von Interesse ist. Sagen, dass der Mörder aus Vergnügen tötet. Sagen, dass es 3 Mörder gibt. Sagen, dass der Mörder Spaß am Morden gefunden hat.
There is not one murderer, but 3 accomplices, who all use the same scenario.
Do you mean that 3 murderers with quite different aims joined forces to create a smokescreen? Here's another question. Is it still necessary to find a motive for each crime? And the one in Andover poses problem. Why was poor Mrs. Asher killed?
Indeed. It would be best to forget the theory. Just one murder was of benefit to the murderer. The others were just diversions. On reflection, there is only one conclusion. The murderer killed once out of interest, and twice to divert our attention. This reasoning points at 2 potential culprits.
Franklin Clark.
Donald Fraser?
Yes, mademoiselle. That's good thinking. Mr. Fraser may have killed Betty out of jealousy. Mr. Clark may have killed his brother in order to inherit his large fortune. Both have a motive.
But Donald did not have access to Dr. Clark's records.
Please allow me to disagree with you, mademoiselle.
Erläutern, dass Donald bei Dr. Clark in Behandlung war. Erläutern, dass Donald in Charleston war, um sich zu erholen.
Donald, too, has been treated by the doctor.
You're quite wrong, Mr. Poirot, and it shouldn't be difficult to prove.
Oui, please excuse me. It was a slip of the tongue.
Ach, er
This
ist
is
das.
what I wanted to say. Donald, Sir Carmichael was one of your firm's customers. We found a surveyor's report among his papers that proves it.
It doesn't prove that I went to Comeside.
You could have done it. And you may have used the opportunity to take a look at Sir Carmichael's records.
You think I'm guilty?
You or Mr. Franklin Clark?
That's ridiculous.
Both of you have a motive. The question is, which of you has the profile that most resembles the murderer? Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Ist Donald clever? Ja. Selbstsicher. Beeinflussbar. Verführer. Verführer. Ja, Marktzüge. Impulsiv. Aufbrausend. Ist Ist der großzügig? Ja, natürlich ist er großzügig.
Ladies and gentlemen, Donald may share many character traits with the murderer, but he does not have his cold indifference. He has a temper. It is hard to imagine him planning anything. Also, jealousy is his motive, and crimes of passion are rarely planned.
Right, I suppose it's my turn to be subjected to the same scrutiny.
Absolument, Mr. Clark. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Ist Franklin clever? Natürlich werden die Kosten aller Personen übernommen, also das ist großzügig. Die Eisenbahnkinder. Wird sie bereits von Franklin Clark umworben? Ich kann das gar nicht lesen, es ist so klein. Ist ein sehr tapferer und selbstsicherer Junge. Laut seinen Lehrern war ein sehr begabter. Ja. Ja, das passt brillant. Selbstsicher. Passt. Selbstsicher. Verführer. Verführer. Mag Franklins Züge. Jawohl. Ist Franklin impulsiv? Er ist kalt. Also ist es er oder was? Oder sind es zwei? Großzügig.
As you have all seen, there is a disturbing similarity between Mr. Clark's profile and that of the killer. In actual fact, it is exactly the same.
Mr. Poirot, your psychological studies are interesting, but your conclusions do not add up. Why would I have wished my brother's death? The inheritance is lawfully mine. I just have to wait.
No, you had to act quickly. Because you are incapable of waiting.
Really? Well, I am no murderer. You presented him as being a cold and patient schemer.
Certes, normalement. But Lady Clark's imminent death precipitated events. Mademoiselle, although you haven't been telling the truth, there is no doubt in my mind that you would have found a way to marry Sir Carmichael after Lady Clark's death. For you, Mr. Clark, it was a disaster. If Miss Grey had children by your brother, you would not have inherited a thing. You realized the danger after reading several letters from Comside, especially one in which your brother opened his heart to you. So you hurried home from China, and you took action. In truth, Cust was no more than a puppet manipulated by the real culprit. You, Mr. Clark.
Such an imagination, Mr. Poirot. In fact, nobody manipulated Cust. The famous instructions he received by post. He wrote them on the typewriter. We know that for sure.
Why is this?
You know perfectly well. That is not true. Eh bien voilà, light has now been shed on the ABC murders.
Your theories are ingenious, but you haven't any proof.
One point to him. For the moment, I have no material proof. Either I admit to it, or I bluff.
Ein Beweis erfinden, der in Alice Ushers Tabakladen gefunden wurde, in Bezug auf die Fingerabdrücke, die auf Custs Schreibmark gefunden Lügen, sagen, dass die Beweise problemlos gefunden werden.
One thing proves it. The prints you left on Cust's typewriter.
Enough.
Oh, of course you wiped the typewriter before sending it. But not carefully enough. Scotland Yard has found your print along with those of Cust.
I understand why you never wanted to lend me your new typewriter, and why you were searching through your brother's things. And the hole you dug on the moors. What did you hide there? The knife you used to kill your brother?
Game, set, match. You win, Mr. Poirot. but it was worth trying.
Okay, wir haben ihn.
Don't come near me! I'll never let you take me, Mr. Poirot.
Das war nur eine Platzpatrone.
I'm sorry, Mr. Clark, there is no easy death for you. I expected your reaction, so I used blanks. I'm sorry, mademoiselle, but your second chance has been lost. Franklin Clark will never inherit his brother's fortune.
Disappointed at having missed the chance to become Lady Clark, Thora Grey left England. Donald Fraser and Megan Barnard married. On Poirot's recommendation, Mary Drower started to work for Lady Clark. The elderly lady's condition suddenly took a turn for the better. And a few months later, to Dr. Logan's great surprise, she was back on her feet again. According to this eminent physician, it appears to be an extremely rare case of spontaneous remission. Lady Clark has enjoyed very good health ever since. Journal of an Innocent, the incredible story of ABC. As for A.B. Cust, after being advised by Poirot, he made a great deal of money by selling his story to the press. And as for me, and with business booming, the Black Swan has become the #1 tourist attraction in the whole of Yorkshire, even more popular than York Minster.
So. Das war's. Das war Agatha Christie, The ABC Murders. Ein echt cooles Spiel, finde ich. Und es wird natürlich noch einen weiteren Teil zu den Agatha Christie Spielen geben. Ich habe mir da schon mal ein neues rausgesucht. Fand ich auf jeden Fall sehr cool, auch dass man so rätseln konnte. Auch wenn man mal falsch gelegen hatte, hat man trotzdem immer wieder die Möglichkeit bekommen, sag ich mal, in die richtige Richtung zurückzugehen. Ich fand es echt schön gemacht. Auch das Design fand ich eigentlich ganz schön gemacht. Ich finde es generell so Comic-Design finde ich immer ganz schön bei so Spielen. Ist mal was anderes. Auf jeden Fall mega cool. Und dann sehen wir uns auf jeden Fall gleich wieder im Hauptmenü wieder. Bis gleich. So, ich war jetzt einfach mal so frech und habe das Ganze dann doch zugemacht, weil ich nicht wusste, wie lange es noch geht. Oder ob es eventuell schon doppelt lief. Ich hatte nämlich so den Eindruck, es ist einfach von vorne losgegangen dann wieder. Aber naja, ihr könnt ja auf jeden Fall mal in die Kommentare schreiben, wie ihr das ganze Spiel so fandet, ob es euch Spaß gemacht hat, ob ihr mehr solche Spiele gern sehen würdet. Dann würde ich mich natürlich darüber freuen, wenn ihr dafür ein Däumchen nach oben dalassen könntet und natürlich auch ein Abo, falls ihr es noch nicht getan habt. Denn dann sehen wir uns auf jeden Fall ganz bald wieder. Vielen Dank fürs Zusehen und dann bis bald. Tschüss.